Hey, it's Kyd the Band, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I've been telling you, man. Like I've been trying to get with you for some time because, like, the moment,
2.5 years, right?
yeah, man, the moment you dropped American Dreamer, I was like, "There's something with this guy. Like something's about to happen."
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
How you doing, man?
Good. It's the end of this tour that I'm
Yeah.
on. I'm out supporting NF on his tour, the Search Tour.
Right.
And so this is the second to last show. It's a 30-second show of 33, and so I'm kind of tired,
I bet.
ready to go home and have a break. But
bet.
it's
Now-
been a lot of fun.
Now, if I'm correct, this is not the first time you go on tour with him, right?
No. I opened up for him like 2.5 years ago on a therapy session tour, and that's when my brother was still a part of
Yeah.
Kyd the Band. Yeah.
Dang. So, how much has these tour cycles changed? Because therapy session was one of the first times that people were getting to know who NF was. So, now it's like you did 2 sold-out shows here at House of Blues, and I'm sure it's been crazier at the other venues. So, like, how do you feel like the shows have kind of grown, especially when you hit the stage and perform?
Man, I mean, compared to 2.5 years ago, like the crowds are obviously bigger. The shows are bigger. And it's just like I remember, the first time we went out, it was like there was a certain demographic, and now it's very mixed, and that's really cool. And it's just a lot of energy. And what's great about his crowd is they show up really early, and so as an opener, I get to go on stage and like it's 95% full, and so that's awesome to be able to play in front of a full crowd. And they're really receptive, and they're very committed to him. So like whatever he kind of endorses or puts a stamp of approval on, then they're welcoming. Right. So I've been really fortunate, and it's been really cool.
Now, it's kind of cool because, like, listening to you, the one thing that really caught my attention the first time was that you're not an artist that can be put in a specific genre, like, because you kind of dabble in everything, like whether it's like vocally or whether it's instrumental wise. So did performing these shows with NF or any other tours that you've done kind of impact the way that you create your music today?
A little bit, because I started doing music like full time as a songwriter, and I mean the deal was focused on me as an artist, which was cool. But I got to write for a lot of different people, and my first like placements for other artists were like hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
And then to go on and do a tour like an NF tour, which is like a rap tour, but he's really kind of like an alternative artist.
Yeah, no, he really is.
Yeah, so that affects. I think it definitely affects me in the way that I approach like writing, because I think about how it'll react live, and I know like in playing in front of this crowd, things that I could say that like they'd probably be into and appreciate, and sound wise, like it's just it's definitely it affects it just because it helps me be aware like people are into this or maybe they won't be. Yeah.
So, talk to me about your evolution since creating American Dreamer to now, this time last year. Like, how do you feel like your songwriting and the way that you kind of sing these songs kind of like evolved for you?
Well, American Dreamer is like more of an alternative rock song or pop rock. And this time last year is more of like an urban pop thing. But it's the same voice. Like, I think for me, it's fun to kind of evolve. Like I think especially after we transitioned the project from a duo to just me, I had to evolve, so I had to kind of recreate myself. And I think that's one of the best parts about being an artist is you have the ability, you have the right to evolve, and hopefully people go along that journey with you. But this time last year, I mean it's a lot more, I guess, like talky, and that's really cool. But then like there's something fun about like the American Dreamer kind of rock, like go out there and you're pretending you're Brandon Flowers from the Killers. So I like it all.
Which is cool because I get that kind of vibe, not necessarily the Killers, but I get the kind of vibe of like you've been in the rock game for some time. Like that's what when I first heard American Dreamer, I was like, why does this voice sound like I've been listening to this voice for so long? Man, so cool. And I feel like it's hard, like back then being a new artist, or even now, like to be a new artist and have people be like, that voice kind of sounds nostalgic to me. Like, where did you find your voice as far as like the songs that you sing?
Well, I mean, like I grew up doing music in church. I was a drummer, and then I like started singing when I was like 15. So, and I started singing in the choir, and I really like didn't want to be a singer. So like, I think that helped me in the sense that like there wasn't anybody I was trying to imitate or like copy. Like it was just kind of like, if I'm gonna sing, I guess this is the voice I have. Like this is what I'm working with. So, and then with songwriting, I honestly think like you have to do what's best for the song. And like every song I write, like I hear like me in it, but then also like I'm trying to service the song and whatever's best for the song vocally.
Yeah. So, over the years, you mentioned you started out as a songwriter. So, did you ever know you were writing for specific people, or did you write stuff and then it happened to fall in the hands of other people?
Both ways. Sometimes I would write stuff with, out the artist in the room and it get pitched to an artist. And then other times, like my first cuts were with Bone Thugs and Harmony, which is bizarre. And I was in the room with those guys.
Right.
And so that was the more like, okay, we're in the room together. What do we want to say here?
Right.
And that's fun. I like being in the room with the artists just because you can learn exactly what they want to say.
Right.
When you're writing for somebody for pitch, then you're just kind of guessing. You're just like, well, I think like based on their past work that they would do this.
Right.
So I mean, both ways I kind of work in, but it's nice to be in the room with artists.
So when you are in the room with artists, do you feel like they kind of impact or influence you in any way when it's time for you to create your own music? Like, and if so, like, what do you feel has been the biggest impact that you've received from an artist when you've collaborated with them?
I would say, the Bone Thug stuff was really, really impactful on me just because they were trying to do what I was working on them with. They were trying to do like a comeback album that was kind of like competitive now, but still be true to what they did in the 90s and early 2000s. And for me, it was just like, don't ever lose that integrity and kind of honesty and transparency within and authenticity. Yeah.
That's cool. Now, talk to me about, music moving on. Like the single that you have out now, like, is that part of an upcoming project that you're working on, or are you working on the singles game? Because I feel like it's kind of hard to kind of figure out whether people want EPs, albums, or just singles at the moment.
Sure. I think, man, with an album, like I have so many songs that like an album's definitely coming, but I think it's all about timing. And like I think you should really put an album out when the appetite's there for an album, because just people consume music so fast. So if the appetite's not there and you drop an album, then people just kind of move on and forget about it. So it's very strategic the way that I'm releasing music, and it's all part of one thing. Yeah.
So from every single that you've dropped so far, like, do you feel like there is a specific song that challenged you the most? And if so, what song was it and why?
I would say out of the new stuff, it's Human, just because, I mean, I've been writing a lot of songs for a long time, and like Human was one of the first songs in a very long time that like got to me on a very emotional level. I mean, I write from my life and I write just about things that I've experienced, but I always want to listen to music that makes me feel something. And so when I'm listening to my own music, it's hard sometimes because I'm too close to it. So Human, every time I hear it, I'm just like, man, this like really makes me feel something.
That's cool.
So that one, yeah, definitely is that.
That's cool, dude. Well, this tour wraps up within the next couple days. Like, what's next for you? Are you done for the year? Like, is it time to relax, or are you going to be back onto another road?
Oh man, I wish
another tour.
Yeah, I wish it was time to relax. We finish tomorrow here, and then I go home for like a week, and then I go to Europe and play some shows.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get back over there, and then I think I might have December off, and then next year it's heavy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And for those not familiar, like, what was it about music that made you want to, pursue this as a career, no matter, how difficult it's going to get, no matter how long it's going to take for you to get there?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be a baseball player at first. That didn't work out, and then I realized music was a passion, and music was the way that I was able to kind of express what I was feeling. I've never been good at like kind of like taking all the emotions and thoughts and feelings that I have and like talking about them, but music was a way for me to like, okay, lay them out on the table and be like, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm dealing with, here's what I want to say. And so it's what I wake up passionate about. And so I'm very fortunate to be able to do it as a living, but that is what, that's what made it be like, okay, this is something I have to chase no matter if I make $5 at it. Like, I have to do it.